Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Tell Your Story. I'm your host, Todd Nesloni, the Director of Culture and Strategic Leadership at TEPSA. And each episode, I look to bring you a different guest who has encouraged, inspired, or challenged me in one way or another and bring them on to share some of their story in hopes that it inspires you to tell some of yours. I'm so excited today to have my friend and former colleague, Mallory LaPlant, on. Mallory, thank you for being here. Tell everybody who you are.
So first, I'm really just beyond excited. I got your invite and I was through the roof, just so excited to do this. So originally we met. I was your secretary for several years back in Navasota, which was a phenomenal experience. And as of today, though, I'm finishing my last day of school. I'm graduating from Sam Houston State on Saturday.
Oh my goodness.
I'm about to get my first teaching job soon and start the next chapter.
Well, I have so much to talk to you about because I'm so excited about all of this. So, I want to start off with you're going to school. You just finished school, I guess, today, and you're going to be graduating soon, being a teacher. When in your life did you realize that teaching was the career path for you?
Oddly enough, and I don't know if I ever told you this, so before I took the job as a secretary, I had never considered teaching. I just knew I had my own kids and I liked kids, and I'm like, my mother-in-law, Kelly, just talked about you nonstop and just bragged all the time about this amazing experience, this awesome school. And so when we came to College Station, she said that there was a job opening up and to check it out. And I said, sure, why not? She made it sound so fun.
Yeah.
But it really was probably in that first month when we were working together, I started meeting kids and getting to know them on a more personal level, meeting their parents and forming relationships with them. And then it just like a Mack truck to my heart was just like, this is it. There's nothing else I want to do.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do the rest of my life. And so I think within a few months, I had started taking classes online just to start building up some schooling so I could eventually get there. But it didn't take long.
Well, and what I always loved about you is, you, like you mentioned, you were the campus secretary. And so typically your job isn't naturally going to deal with many kids. You're dealing more with adults, but you ended up dealing a lot with kids as they would come in the office. You were always saying hello to them or connecting, but you also, uniquely enough, built really strong relationships with our kids in our preschools with children with disability, our PPCD. And our life skills kids. And like you were immediately drawn to those and you could just see your eyes light up. And so had you ever had any experience working with kids with disabilities before then?
No, not really. I think about looking back, my experiences with children were minimal outside of my own. We had 3 kids and they're very healthy, like your average run-of-the-mill kids. And I knew I loved kids. But it was meeting them and learning their personalities at Webb and at the intermediate school. I just immediately just felt this connection and joy. There was this immense joy meeting the paras and their teachers and all of the hard work I saw them putting in and how happy those students were. I saw there's a very concrete difference I saw being made with the teachers and the paras and the students. And just, I was started just wherever I could pop in and say hello, or walk in the hallways or something, just to be part of that. It was just so positive and loving. And my heart just immediately just latched on.
Well, and when I asked you to write something for our book, Stories from Webb, I just loved the story you wrote about the little girl that you just connected so deeply with. And so if somebody hasn't read that yet, kind of share a little bit about that if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And so there was a little girl in our PPCD program that I latched onto, and she reminded me a lot of one of my daughters. And so I definitely saw that connection, and I saw that the things happening with her teacher, he put in so much work for her, and she was a champion for her. And I remember like every like little success we celebrated. It was a celebration, and not just with me, but with the office. And it was so personal. Like we were all there just championing.
Yeah, I think so.
For this girl. And she just was so incredibly kind and loving and this beautiful personality. And her and I just connected, and I tried to do the best that I could to help where help was needed. If it was clothes, if it was time, if it was just to go down there and give her a high five, let her know that I was proud of her, whatever she needed. I did my best to be there for her and offer as much love and kindness as I could. And so, I'm not going to cry. I get every time. I remember it was one of the most difficult days on campus. She left without any warning, no phone call, nothing. There was nothing.
Yeah.
And it was a few weeks before I heard from another district looking for her records. But I had built a relationship with her family and with her, and one day she was gone. And I had this girl that I lost sleep over her while she was with us. And I just remember worrying and just racking my brain, trying to think, what can I do for her? What more can I offer? And then she left, and there was no phone call. There was no message. There was no warning. There was no goodbye. And that, I remember just not being able to function that day.
I remember.
I was absolutely crushed. And I find myself all the time driving in my car wondering, how is she? Where is she? How's her family? How are her siblings? Is she okay? And so I don't think that'll ever go away.
Well, it's funny because, when there's people like us in the office who, we connect with so many kids, and typically when you work in the office, those kids are up there not for the best reasons. And so you connect with them in a different way when they're outside that educational classroom. But those are the kids more often than others that end up just withdrawing one day, and it's heartbreaking. And you being the one that has to deal with all the withdrawals and entries, you always knew, like, oh my goodness, this kid's not coming back. And we were always being like, what? Like, we didn't even know. We didn't even get to say goodbye. And so I think that's something, and that's why I wanted to ask you, because I think that's something that, a lot of people don't think about when they think about educators, is we get a lot of those not goodbyes. And I think everybody's dealing with that this year, having kids that they maybe didn't get to say goodbye to before we left for this quarantine. And so I think it's it's something that some teachers have dealt with in their own classroom, very minimally probably. But when you work in the office, it's like, goodness, every week there's another kid that's either coming or going or comes back. And you're like, where have you been? I'm so excited you're back. And so, in
the office, that's something, absolutely, it's concentrated. And I could see it. And I just so many times meeting even with those classroom teachers that would lose a student that would suddenly move away, or a sudden change with where they were living or their situation. And so I would see them and they'd be so upset. But in the office, I felt like we were getting it over and over and over. Sometimes I'm like, we had a thing. We finally are clicking. We're working, and then they're gone. And so I feel like in the office, you definitely see that just in abundance, much more so anywhere else.
Well, and then you decide to go back to school to be a teacher. So you're taking these classes on top of working, on top of being a mom, on top of, you got 3 kids at home. And so all this stuff going on. And so, do you feel like that work in a school, being around kids and teachers and parents and families, helped prepare you more to become a teacher?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like having that experience, it prepared me in a lot of ways to kind of see the whole picture of everything. It wasn't just from the stance of teaching, but I've gotten the wonderful experience of meeting a lot of students, a lot of teachers and administrators. And I feel like as a teacher in the making, that I really connect, and I can see that point of view of the parent. And I see the point of view of the administrator. And so it's given me this broad perspective to appreciate and understand what children need, that well-rounded, multifaceted approach to caring for children. And so I feel like all of those experiences just helped form what I feel like helped form an eye, I guess,
Yeah.
for appreciating all of the different parts of their lives. And so absolutely 100% was the whole experience was so beneficial.
Well, and I think what you said there is huge, because when we get in a job, sometimes we only have vision for what happens in that position, that we don't take into consideration what the instructional aides are going through, what the nurse is going through, what the front office is going through. And by you getting that bird's eye view before being in there, I think that gives, like you said, gives you more perspective on what other people are going through, so that you have more empathy and know-how about how to work with them too. And something else that we've been hearing about on the news quite often are high school seniors who don't get to have their graduation this year. But one thing that I've been talking with some adults about is there are a lot of adults who are not getting their college graduation this year, which I think is something that we're not talking about as often. And that's a lot of work, a lot of financial investment, a lot of things. And so, you're one of those people who you're graduating, and there's not that opportunity to walk across the stage, or at least not yet. Maybe the university will offer it later, things like that. So how are you as an adult handling that piece of what you were looking forward to kind of evaporating?
Well, to be honest, when I realized that graduation was going to be postponed indefinitely, the first probably 2 weeks, I really struggled with that. So many times, because these last few semesters, to stay on track to graduate on time, there was one semester I took 18 credit hours, and I really just pushed myself. Yeah, I really pushed myself to always be trying and working, and I put a lot of effort into it. Especially, I wanted to graduate with honors.
Yeah,
I had this vision in my head, like I couldn't wait to see my Latin honors on the little pamphlet and have it said my name. And so on the worst days and the hardest days, I just imagined like that moment.
Yeah.
Crossing the stage, seeing my kids, seeing my family, and just being able to have this like finish line. I was like, I was going to cross that finish line and just celebrate.
Yeah.
And so this year, my graduation will come and go, and the accomplishment is still there. I feel it, and I'm still proud of it.
Yeah.
I would be completely lying if I said that it isn't emotionally challenging to know that that day will kind of just pass like any day. The accomplishment's there.
Yeah.
But it does kind of take the wind out of your sails a little bit. And so I'm still processing it and trying my best. I'm looking forward to having my classroom. That's really what I took all that energy that I focused on graduation. I was like, you know what? I'm like, I'm going to have desks, and I'm going to have tables and chairs and all these things I want to do. And so I'm trying my best to redirect that.
Yeah.
It's difficult, but there is still joy to be found in this. It's not gone. It's not over. It's just, I'm going on to the next step. And now I just need to celebrate this huge moment of teaching. I finally get to do what I've been working so hard to do. And
well, and I think what you're saying is totally true, is that there are, like, it's one of those things, you are still incredibly proud of yourself. You still know this is like a huge deal, but it does kind of feel like you got gypped from something. And I think we don't, and the reason I wanted to ask about that is because I think we aren't talking about that enough. And the adults who've worked for this, and it is heartbreaking for the seniors, and I'm not taking anything away from that. But I think this is important too, and like you said, I think that when that day comes and when you knew your graduation was going to be, it'll be one of those reminders. And after that, you know what, it'll be easier to get through. But I love what you said though about you have a classroom to look forward to, because you already have a job, right? Like you got hired.
I did. And I got the job that I wanted the most. I love math. I love teaching math. I love talking about math. And so when I got the opportunity, I was offered the opportunity to teach fourth grade, one of my favorite grades, fourth grade math. I said, Absolutely. I'm pretty sure I screamed into the phone and was like, I had to go back. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I am just so happy. And then I hung up the phone and I was so excited. I bawled.
Oh yeah.
Bawled my eyes out.
Yeah.
I just like that phone call is exactly the feeling I thought I was going to get on graduation day. And then it happened and I was just like, oh, this is a million times better than anything I could have imagined.
Yeah.
So it's okay and it's good. And I have my moments of feeling a little sad with missing graduation, but I think back to that moment and nothing compares to it.
Well, and when you told me you got that job, I was like, oh my gosh, like my first job was a 4th grade math position. And so I was so excited for you and I can't wait to see kind of the things that you're going to do. And I love just seeing your excitement and knowing that. And so your kids are varying ages. They're all still in elementary, middle school. And so do they understand kind of the work that's gone in and how exciting of a moment this is? Or are they just like, well, mom's going to work, so whatever?
There are moments, actually one's talking right now. Yes, you may. They have moments where I think they were a little bit confused.
Yeah.
Especially when I was student teaching and with kids all day. And like, you talk about your kids all the time. Do you talk about us to your kids? And I said, I talk about you guys to the kids all the time. But I think they felt it too when they realized there wasn't going to be a graduation. My oldest daughter, so she's 11, she's going into 6th grade. So she immediately was like, Mom, that's not fair. And I was like, no, I'm like, it doesn't feel fair. It doesn't. But they know, like they got so accustomed to when mom has her laptop out and my books are everywhere, my papers are everywhere, they know that I'm focused and I'm working. And so they feel it. And they absolutely, I think, will appreciate, my hope is that when they reach college, that they will remember the work that I put in and use that to motivate themselves to get through it. Like, I made no secret of how difficult it could be sometimes. I never tried to make it look easy. There were several moments of panic and stress and I don't want to do this and I don't know how I'm going to have time. And they saw that, but I think they are also seeing the joy of this huge moment. And they're like, can we come to your classroom? Can we help you set up? And absolutely. Absolutely. This is just as much a celebration for me as it is for them.
Well, and thinking about, this isn't your first career path choice. You didn't jump right into college to be a teacher right after high school. You didn't even know you wanted to be a teacher right away. Did you ever find yourself battling with that? I'm too old for this. Why am I trying to do this? I'm because I talk a lot in these episodes about dealing with doubt and dealing with worry and things like that. And so I always wonder when it's not the first path and when you're not like the 21, 22-year-olds who are graduating and getting out of there, do you ever sit and compare yourself to them? I mean, I can see with you like the joy taking that over at some point with just so much excitement, but did you find yourself battling that every now and then?
It would really hit me. I would feel just so frustrated sometimes because I really did. I took on a very heavy course load. And I had extremely high expectations of myself when it came to my grades. So I didn't halfway do anything. I always did every assignment the best that I could possibly give. And so we had a difficult year last year. So my husband was laid off in the middle of my spring semester last year. And so we dealt with that, and he ended up taking a job where he was living out of town during the week. And so it fell on me to be mom and manage the house and do the school and care for the kids, and very much dealing with moments of thinking like, how on earth? I would get so frustrated because I would have classmates, younger classmates who would kind of turn in something late or something to that effect. I'm like, man, how? And I would appreciate this. You have the best, like easy, not that everyone's life is easy, but such an easy path. And I would be so frustrated that I just wanted to be so glad that you are doing this now, because it is much more difficult with children. It's much more difficult as an adult and doing this in a non-traditional way. And
Yeah.
so my biggest thing that I would constantly be on them about, like a mother hen, is appreciate this.
Yeah.
Take advantage of this. Don't waste. And I'm sure they probably like, oh, here she goes again. Please just appreciate this. And so I knew I'm sorry, your question originally was if I doubted myself, and I did. I absolutely did. There were several moments of tears thinking I just can't do this.
Yeah.
I can't be a good enough mom. I can't be a good enough student. I can't spread myself this thin.
Yeah.
And so it really, but then semester would end and I'd be like, oh my goodness, I did it somehow. How did I do this? And so I look back and I will never say it was easy.
Yeah.
It was absolutely challenging, but absolutely worth it.
I love that. Well, Mallory, one way that I always love to end all of these conversations is I believe as people, there are things that we hold deeply to what we believe in, who we are, what's on our hearts. And so if there was one thing that you wish people were to walk away with today, what would your one thing be?
The big thing I would say is sometimes the most difficult roads are the most rewarding ones. And the hard work and the late nights and the worry and the concern, it shows how much you care and how much you love. And it is 100% every ounce of effort you put in.
Right.
I don't believe anybody should ever see a barrier and not be willing to fight it with everything they have.
I love that. Well, Mallory, I love you and the work you're doing, and I can't wait to see your first year in classroom. And so thank you so much for coming on and sharing some time with me today.
Yes, thank you so much. This was wonderful. It's so good to see you again and chat, and I can't wait to catch up when the school year gets started.
Yes. And thank you everybody so much for watching or listening to another episode of Tell Your Story. Remember, you can check out all the past episodes on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, wherever you get it, it's there. I hope today's conversation with Mallory has encouraged you to get out there and tell your story, because every story matters.